Hi, I'm Rick at Rick Turns, and today's video is Hi, I'm Rick Morris. This is the Rick Turns channel. For today, I'm going to be doing a hollowing tool, one that is very much like this and this. There's been a number of tools like this showing up over the years. The hunter tools are the ones that I remember from farthest back. And these two here, the Hunter Osprey tool and then the Hunter Hercules, I believe the difference between them is a little bit larger bit here, but I've never had the tool, so I don't know. And then Hunter's also got his swan neck tools, or his, I think he calls them taper hollowing tools, where the bar is tapered and it's not flat. Jimmy Clues has got a line of tools out. In this picture right here, the Clues Mate 2, which has got more of a curve so that you can do undercutting with it. And he's also got a Mega Mate, which, since it's called Mega, I'm assuming it's larger. I've never actually held any of these tools, but you can get pretty good pictures on the internet, which is what I'm showing here. The description of the tool says they don't scrape, they cut, with a lot of control due to the design and angle of the cutter on each tool. Okay. Now, all of these tools have a few things in common. First of all, they all cost like hell. The Mega Mate here sells for about $165. The Mate number 1 and 2, I think, sell for around $140. I'm not sure what the Hunter tools cost. I didn't manage to print it out with a screenshot. That's kind of expensive, especially if you don't know how well it's going to work, you know. The other things they have in common is they all are using a round carbide cutter, just like that. And next, they're all mounted, or at least most of them are mounted, at a slope like this to the length of the bar. And finally, several of them are on a square or rectangular cross-section bar instead of a round bar. So you get the ability of laying the tool square on the tool rest, holds it in the right orientation. What I want to do is make one similar to this or to this. Just looking at them, there's a bit of a difference between the two. This one, the bit is set at a much sharper angle. Looks like maybe 45 degrees or so. The description of the Jimmy Clues tools, it says 22 degrees. So I'm going to try and make one of these. Don't want to take any profits away from them, but I can't afford that price. It's really pretty high. So what I've done, I bought a rectangular section of steel here. This is looks like about 18 millimeters or 3/4 of an inch in one direction. It is 5/8 in another direction, which looks like about 16 millimeters. This one is 12 inches long, or what would that be? Something around 305 or 310 millimeters. So this is the bar. Now, to work on this bar, I'll take one end, kind of round it out so I can get it into a tool handle, but I'll take the other end and I'll grind a slope down like that. And then right on the tip, I'll grind an even smaller area for the bit to sit. And the bit that I've got is this one right here. I think I bought this from, I believe it was AZ Carbide, I'm not quite sure. This is a 1/2 inch in diameter, or 10-12 millimeters. So it will go on the ground down length down here. Don't think I'm going to be able to grind a beautiful little pocket for the bit right down here. Just don't have any grinding tools that small. I'm going to be using a angle grinder with a 4.5 inch wheel on it. Not exactly real fine detail work there. And then I'll take this, I'll drill a hole in it, and I'll tap that hole probably to match a little bit larger screw than that. That's about all there is to it. I am all set up to grind. Now the way I've got this oriented here, the sparks are going to go over that way. I've cleaned up all the shavings and so forth from underneath my lathe for a change. And there's nothing combustible over there, at least relatively not. All right, I'm ready to go. I've got it mostly ground down there, about to the line where I wanted to stop at. I'm going to try and get this a little bit more level. Then I'm going to grind out some of the side here. As you saw, some of those tools, they had a little bit of a curve ground into them right there. And I'm going to try that as well. As you can see right here, I did decide to grind a little more after I stopped the cameras. And I ground a little bit of a recess there. It's not going to be nice and neat. It's not going to have a nice curve right there like the professional tools do, or commercial tools anyway. And I want to position my bit right there. There we are. That's where I want to put the hole. Now I've got my shaft here so that this flat here is perpendicular to the path of the drill bit. And this right here is a centering drill bit, which is very rigid and is used to start a hole for the regular drill, which would just tend to skate around some. Now I need to switch the bit here into the real bit, the correct size for a 1032 screw. All right, now I'm ready to drill all the way through the hole. So that is the right size hole for a 1032 tap. Now, before I leave the drill press, I'm going to put the thin 1032 tap in here. Now, I'm not going to turn the drill press on. I'm just going to turn it by hand. This was suggested to me by one of the viewers of, one of my previous videos, that the easiest way to start a tap like this, if you've got it, and if your workpiece is small enough, is to use a drill press. Just to get it started, which is what I'm going to do. it out a wee bit here. I've got, looks like about 3 threads going in there. Now I'm going to switch over to my regular tap wrench. Alright, I got my tap wrench set up. And let me put a drop of oil on this. And this is my tap wrench, and I've got a 1032 tap in there. Alright, there's how far I got before. So now, I'm just going to continue in. And every turn, back it out. So like, go in one turn and back out a half turn. Break the chip. I've made a little progress since I was last here, and that was actually about 3 days ago. As you can see from the shaft here, I pretty much finished working on it. I rounded this down to roughly 5/8 of an inch in diameter so that it would go into a handle. I finished grinding here. I actually had to redo it once. The hole that I drilled, although that was number 21 drill bit, which is supposed to be the correct one for a 1032 screw, it just wasn't big enough, and the tap broke off in it. And then I couldn't get the tap out, so I cut the bar off and reground the whole thing. Got another tap, drilled a 21 hole again, still wouldn't do it. So I went up a 32nd of an inch, drilled a new hole, and I was able to get it tapped in. However, what I found out then was my little carbide cutter here, although the hole in the center, it looked big enough, a number 10 screw would not go through there. So, and I even tried to drill it out, but it's carbide, my drill bit wouldn't touch it. So I will be attaching this with a nut and a bolt, instead of tapping it, which is what I would prefer to do. So now I've got a slope here, and then I ground it down right in here also, sort of to give a pocket. Obviously it's not rounded there, but it does drop the cutter down below this surface here for whatever good that might be. I'm not sure. And then I also touched up this outer edge here so that it would be just slightly less than the circular part of the carbide cutter. So all in all, that piece is done. Now, the next step is getting a handle. And there's so many videos on YouTube about making handles. I'm not even going to bother with it, okay? Let's just take it for granted that, you know, I can make a handle, and actually I don't even want to make a handle. What the heck, it's so much easier just to go and have a handle appear already made. Is that incredible or what? Wow. Like I said in my last video, I got magic fingers. It's amazing. So now this little handle here, this is made out of a piece of white oak. It's about 13 inches long, I think. And I used an old copper pipe fitting for the ferrule, which is quite strong. And I drilled a 5/8 inch hole in here. So what I need to do now, I'm going to go ahead and cement this in to the hole there. Although it's a pretty tight fitting hole, but I'm going to go ahead and put in epoxy with it. Okay. Put a little down in there. I'm going to Put a little bit on the shaft, which will be forced upwards, I think, but not the shaft, the epoxy. There we are. And there we go. Excellent. Now I'm going to let that dry for a couple hours before I take any further action. And then I'll be able to take my carbide bit, attach it on here, and try it out. I'm back. Although it didn't seem like it, it's been about 4 days. And I think I mentioned before, I had tried to drill out the center of that carbide bit, and it looked like it might not have been carbide metal on the inside, but it was. My drill bit wouldn't touch it. But I did manage to chip up the edge of the carbide bit, so I ordered another one. Right here. Just got it in yesterday. This is from AZ Carbide. And look, at no extra charge, they sent me this cool sticker. As I mentioned earlier, I totally screwed up on drilling the hole, and I didn't really want to cut this shorter again and regrind it, at least until I find out if this really works the way I want it to, or the way I kind of expect it to. So I'm putting it in with a nut and bolt, which is tacky, I know. I could probably make that bolt a little shorter. For the moment, it doesn't matter. This is the reason why it's preferable to have tapped the tool itself, because if you're using a nut and bolt, you got to hold the nut while you're tightening it, or it's not going to work. Okay, I'm aligned just right there. Okay, on there really tight. There we have it. That actually is looking pretty good. All right, I'm here at the lathe with my new tool for the trial run, maiden voyage. I've got an old bowl blank here. This was actually for a video that I was working on a couple of days ago. I totally screwed it up, and it's kind of become firewood, I'm afraid. But anyway, this is, I think, a good test for my new hollowing for my new hollowing tool. Okay, that's good right there. And now I'm going to try this out and see how it works. This is poplar. It's fairly soft wood, but I don't have a really hard piece like oak handy right now. All right, I'm right at about 1,000 RPM. Okay, the whole nut and bolt thing might not work too well. It's already loosened up. So I'm going to find a lock washer and stick in there and try it again. All right, different nut and bolt on here with a lock washer. Hopefully that's going to secure it enough so that it won't come loose this time. And I'm ready to try again. Keeping it level is looking good. So if I try and take too deep a bite, it doesn't do too well. But then I guess most tools don't in that situation. Now right there, I'm taking pretty light cuts, and it's really not tearing out too much, and that is good. This is soft wood. So I'm going to go ahead and take this down some more. I don't know if this is good for hogging off a huge amount. We're about to find out. That's good. I'm still getting nice cuts, not much grain tearing. So I'm going to proceed to hollow this out, I think, some more, to hollow it out deeper, because I want to see how this little edge is going to perform inside the curve of a bowl like that, which is where I usually have my most difficult cuts. I'm going to try tilting it up. It shouldn't, I don't know what will happen there. Probably nothing good. Okay, well, that shows what I know. That actually seemed to cut a little bit better. That would really put the tilt of the blade there more towards the wood. See if a tilted down or straight cut makes a difference. Here's a straight cut. Okay, that was with a fairly fine straight cut. Still kind of torn up a little bit, not too bad though. I'm going to try to tilt it down, see what happens. And that is good. A little bit better on the cross grain. So I'm not sure whether tilted up, down, or even is the best way to use this tool. You know, you'd think I could probably do better in terms of the grain tearing with the bowl gouge. I'm going to try that. And let's see how the bowl gouge does. It was a nice, very sharpened, recently sharpened that is. Okay, much less grain tearing than with the carbide tool. Not surprised, to tell you the truth. Back to the carbide. That was a slow light cut, and kind of torn up in here and there too. I'm going to try the bowl gouge again just for kicks. And across that end grain, pretty much a perfect surface with the bowl gouge. So is this only suitable for rough work? Take a look at this. Once again, taking heavy cuts. It's pretty torn up. Still kind of thick. I think I'm going to see how well I can smooth that off with the carbide tool here. All right, that's better, but I don't think I turned away enough to get rid of the chewed up grain that I had left before, so going to do that a little bit more. You can see right there I was doing some undercutting, which is what that curve right there is for, and it does fine. Prevents the bulk of the bar from getting in the way. And that's not too bad, but still got a lot of tear out there from where I was hogging it down before. Okay, well, I'm not sure what my conclusions are. It cuts pretty well, I guess, as a roughing tool, and if you're hollowing, probably that's what you're looking for, is something to remove material fast, and it did pretty well for that. Probably not as fast as a large 1 1/4, 1.5 inch flat scraper, which will really tear through the wood and tear up the end grain. In terms of speed, whether it cuts faster or slower than a bowl gouge, I don't know. It seemed to be about the same to me. I wasn't going any faster when I used my bowl gouge than I was when I used this. I did get a better finish with the bowl gouge. Now, I was hoping that this would be leave a very nice shear cut surface, like my negative rake dedicated shearing tool does. It definitely does not do as good as passing my shearing cutter across the finished piece, that's for sure. I don't know how this would do on hardwood. I'm using poplar, it's pretty soft. On hardwood, might be a different story. Definitely my construction here in metalworking is not great. But really, I think I came up with the same cutter, held at pretty much the same angle as those other tools are. Now, take a look at Jimmy Clue's videos with his Mate 1 and Mate 2 tools and his Mega Mate. He looks like he's getting a better cut than I am. So, now I want to think about it. If you like making tools, this was inexpensive relatively, particularly if you don't screw up the first carbide cutter you've got. And it's fun to make. I found it fun to make. I will probably continue to use it for a while. I haven't really decided if I want to use this or not. So if anybody out there has used some of these tools, the Jimmy Clue's Mega Mate 1, Mega Mate 2, it's a Jimmy Clue's Mate number 1 and Mate number 2 and Mega Mate, the Hunter Osprey, and the Hunter, there was some other Hunter tool with the name of an animal on it. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to know what kind of results you get from it. And if you can critique my, my cutting with it, I'll be glad to hear it. All right, see you next video.